Hi guys, today I'm back with another foundation review. Today it is all about the Hourglass Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation. Did I get that right? Vanish Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation. As always, there will be timestamps down below if you'd like to skip ahead. We'll be doing application, before and after, a wear test, flash photo test. I will have some other foundation reviews linked down below along with other oily skin content if you're looking for best moisturizers, primers, powders, and I actually have not worn the stick in a little while, so I can't totally compare it, but I did review it about 2 years ago when I was pretty oily, so I will link to that down below. I'm kind of in a combo place right now, but let's go ahead and, oh, sorry, also, I will have a blog post link down below if you're looking for comparison swatches of this next to some of my other foundations like an Estee Lauder Max. You can kind of shade match, and I do also swatch it next to the Hourglass stick to see if you can see how close together they are in a shade match. But now let's get started. So this foundation is of course available at Sephora, retails for $56 American, 68 Canadian. You're getting 0.84 fluid ounces in here, so a little bit less than the average size of a foundation. And one thing I will note in comparing this to the stick right off the bat is I can tell you that this is going to be a better amount of product per fluid ounce, I guess, or dollar per fluid ounce or per ounce, if that makes sense, because in the stick you're only getting 7 grams, which is a little bit on the low side for a stick foundation, so you can't directly compare, but I will say these are both super full coverage and claim to be full coverage foundations, so a little bit does go a long way, but that is just one thing that I noticed right off the bat. It does come in a frosted bottle with a pump, always appreciate that, and I do really like the bottle. I think it's super sleek, as we've come to expect from Hourglass, but similar to this stick, it is described as being a full coverage but natural finish. Where they kind of differ, on the Sephora website, the liquid is recommended for normal, combo, oily, and the stick is recommended for dry, normal, combo, and oily, and I can kind of see that right off the bat in testing this out. I definitely don't feel like oilier people, or sorry, drier people would like it. Definitely may need to do a little bit more prep, but as always, below, let me know your skin type, let me know how you enjoyed this, but let's go ahead and get it on my face. They don't, not that they don't recommend a primer, but they say a primer is not necessary, so I am going to skip a primer today, but I am just going to give my face a little spritz with the Too Faced Hangover Replenishing. I mean, they call it a primer, it's kind of like a hydrating mist. It's just my preference in application for this foundation. So I've taken 1 pump of this foundation, and I should say I'm using the shade Golden Tan, which is what I used in the stick foundation as well, and I have my typical foundation shades listed down below. I normally don't wear my hair down for foundation reviews. Fresh beauty blender, by the way. But I was about to put it up in a bun. I washed it yesterday, and then I was like, wow, my second day curls actually look so good, so I couldn't squander that opportunity. Normally I don't wear my hair down for reviews just to keep everything out of the way, but if you are a curly friend like myself, then you know the curls got to come down if they're looking good. So what I will say is, in testing out this foundation, a little bit truly does go a long way, and I had posted about this on Instagram a little while back and asked you what you thought, and a lot of people really liked it, but then I also had several messages of people saying they kind of found it hard to work with, and I can kind of see where those people are coming from as well. You need to only use a tiny bit, build in light layers, and make sure your skin is hydrated. There's a difference between like hydration and greasiness as an oily person, and I preach this all the time, but you do need to hydrate oily skin, not only because it makes your makeup look better, but it also helps to in turn produce a little less oil on your face. A little bit of oil is not bad in my opinion. Less wrinkles, makes you look glowy and young. But I think, as you can see here, like, I don't even want to build this up too much. Like, my preference in foundation at the moment is definitely a more natural coverage, natural finish, medium coverage, so I might leave it close to here, but let me just continue to build. It also says, of course, it's long wearing, transfer proof, waterproof, and all that good stuff. And historically, I've really liked everything I've tried from Hourglass. I mean, it's definitely a very high-end brand, so you're of course like it's not for everybody, but I will say, like, the actual quality and the value of the product, it doesn't just feel like you're paying for a name, I guess. I should also say it comes with 32 different shades, and I haven't seen them all swatched next to each other, but just by looking at the swatches on the Sephora website, I feel like this one looks like it goes deeper than the stick does. And they at least have a really good range, so although there's not like 50 shades in there, which is fine with me, it does have a good, what I feel like looks like quite a good range. And of course, if you want more coverage, using something like a denser brush will give you more coverage. But I like a more natural coverage, and I am more into sponges lately. So I really, really love the way that this foundation looks on my skin upon application. As you saw, I used the tiniest pump. So although this foundation is $68, I use less of that foundation than I probably do of anything else to get what I believe to be very good coverage. That being said, it's still a pretty solid medium, but you can absolutely build this to full. That's just not my preference. And if you do build it to full, don't build it all over your face. Just build it where you need it. Because I do see how it has the potential to cake up, and also using things like a sponge or a less dense brush may give you a better application. I don't find it to be super finicky though, because I also hate when foundations are like, you have to do this, you have to do this. But from my testing, I feel like there are a couple best practices to make it look as good as possible. As for the shade match, I do think it does look a little bit light on camera, classic YouTube, it looks better in person, but it does look a little warmer in person. And in addition to that, once I conceal and bronze, that's gonna bring a little bit more of the life back to my face. But I would be totally comfortable to wear this on its own. The way it looks in person, it looks super, super natural, but it's still evening out my skin tone. And as you can see in the before and after, I think it does a really good job. And then I also turned down my lights and did a close-up so you could see even better. And like I said, I have not built this up to full coverage. It has the potential to go there, and I'm not like looking to be like the most flawless woman in the world. I want my skin to show through. I just want it to look like I have good skin, but also still last on my skin, which can be hard when you have an oilier skin type. If you don't want to go matte full coverage, finding that line of like dewy and glowy and looking like you have good skin, but also like your face is not melting off, because that has absolutely happened to me before. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some flash photo tests or do a flash photo test, put on the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. Back with my full face of makeup on now. I did film a tutorial for this look, so I will link to it down below. As for the flash photo test, I thought everything looked really good here in my studio lighting. I think you can see that it does look super natural. There's a little bit of a sheen on my skin, but that being said, I think if you have definitely a dry skin type, you probably wouldn't want to powder this. I used the Hourglass Veil powder and just kind of patted it into my skin with a sponge. I think that gives a really natural finish, but you don't want to put too much powder on top of this, in my opinion. Something a little bit lighter, more finely milled, because I do feel like, although it has a natural finish, I would say it's definitely more of like a natural matte for sure when I compare it to what I believe more true natural foundations. And then in flash photo, I thought it looked really good as well. There was no major flashback. It has no claims of SPF or anything in there, at least in Canada. It can vary country to country, but overall I think that it looks really good, feels really lightweight on the skin, which is very, very important to me. I mean, I put very little on my face, but I think you can see when I have a full face of makeup on with a more full coverage concealer, I have powdered, I bronzed, I don't think it looks like, it looks natural, but it doesn't look like I'm going for like a natural look, if that makes sense. It doesn't look heavy or cakey on the skin, but it also doesn't look like I'm doing like a no makeup thing. So I think it builds up really, really beautiful. And of course you can obviously put more than one pump on your face. That's kind of just where I'm at in terms of my foundation preferences of the moment. So I'm gonna go ahead about my day, and I will check back with you in some natural light. Coming to you with my midday check-in in some natural light. I think things look really good. I did lose a little bit of coverage around my nose. I guess I touched my nose a lot. I don't know, but otherwise, I think it looks really good. It has not oxidized. It has not started to patch away. Like I said, I'm not as oily as I once was. Definitely in the winter time, my skin has just been ravished by Toronto winter, but things look really, really good. And I still do kind of get that oil push through. Or at the very least, it makes my skin look not as good when the oil starts to come through. In addition to that, I also do have a sweaty face. I don't know if that's too much information, but anyways, things look really good. But but I will check back with you at the end of the evening. Here we are at the end of the day, and I think things look really good. As you can see, there is a little bit of oil that has come through, but definitely nothing too substantial, nothing that has moved anything around on my face, and it honestly does not feel that doesn't feel like uncomfortable either, like things are going to move around. I am gonna blot just a little bit with a paper towel because that is all I have on hand right now, and I'm actually just gonna wash my face and head out, heading to the gym for a workout because that's a thing that I do now. But I think things look really, really good. I do want to show you what it looks like after I blot, and I really like, in my opinion, no foundation is 100% transfer proof if you're going to be putting a bunch of other things on your face. You know, like I'm wearing powder, bronzer, blush, all kinds of different things. That's all going to affect the transfer proofness of a foundation. But for me, what I'm looking for is, does it feel like it's slipping around? Does it feel like just at a quick touch, like it's going to come off? I did lose a little bit on my nose here, but like kind of on my like under nose or whatever you want to call it. Nothing too noticeable, and I've basically just been editing all day and touching my face definitely more than I should have, so I think things look really good. Like nothing has patched off. My blush, bronzer, highlight, all of that is still intact, so I think it still looks really smooth, no oxidization. Overall, I think it looks really, really good, and it's a foundation that I feel like you can wear for quite a few hours if you're looking for something with really long wear. As for the skin type that I feel would enjoy this foundation, I definitely think it's normal and above. I don't feel like this is something for dry skin, but I really can't say. You may want to mix in an illuminator, an oil, or go in with like a more hydrating base, or use something like a mist if you're looking for something with some good coverage and wear time. But for those of you that have an oilier skin type, they do, like I said, list this as a natural finish foundation, where I feel like it's more of a matte. We have a lot more kind of natural and natural matte finishes coming onto the market now, and this definitely feels to be more on the matte side for sure. Of course, you could skip powder depending on your skin type and how you like to wear your foundation. For me, this doesn't feel like a foundation that I would 100% skip it, because for the most part I almost never do that. So it's not like the most matte foundation ever, but it's definitely where I do want to point that out, where it says it's on the natural side on the Sephora website. I do feel like it's a little bit more matte, but again, doesn't feel cakey, super lightweight, very long wearing, and incredibly full coverage. I barely built it up. I put the tiniest pump on my face, and I still feel like I got really, really beautiful coverage. So overall, I definitely give this foundation a big thumbs up. Let me know if you have tried it down below. Like I said in the beginning, I know a few people had some issues with it being patchy and a little bit finicky, which I can kind of see where those people are coming from, but the way that I have been using it, I have not had that issue. So give that a try if you're curious. And as always, if you have the ability to get a sample from Sephora, I always recommend doing that for any foundation. That way you can figure out your color match and if you like it before you dive in and buy the full thing. But if you do happen to buy the full thing and you don't like it, you can return it to Sephora used before 30 days, I think. I don't know, you'd have to check their website, but that is a thing, just in case you didn't know. But thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!